As gut-wrenching as it is to see Luffy and Usopp fight each other, it's not as one-sided as you'd think, boy. Usopp came prepared to fight. One Piece, chapter 332, Luffy versus Usopp. Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and action-packed, climactic, just wonderful, wonderful tale, man. I mean, heartfelt. It just, God, what else can what else can I possibly say about it? I've got 400 or 500 reviews ahead of me before I even catch up. But I mean, where else can you read something like this? And just the pictures and the words depict can bring so many great emotions out of you, and probably some that maybe aren't so great too. But it's just the magnificent tale of One Piece. And sorry about the extended opening there, but it is what it is. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with Usopp storming off and then turning around and saying, "You know what, Luffy, you're gonna fight me for the going merry," and that's how the chapter left off. He just doesn't want to accept, that they're gonna have to let go of the ship. He believes that Luffy made too rash of a decision. Believes that he's living in denial. That he can get it fixed. And so it's a tough thing, and it's real tough too because I really love both characters. I really do. Usopp was one of the first guys to join the crew, and oh man, just anyway. And tell you the truth, the first time I think I got choked up reading One Piece was way back in when they showed his flashback of how how his mother passed and his father was gone and everything else, and what he did to cope with that and everything. And I mean, I got choked. I had tears in my eyes. So, anyways, this fight is it's magnificent and depressing all at the same time. It starts out and there's a few pages of build up. Apparently, Luffy's just chilling, laying in his hammock, in his bunk, and Nami's trying to talk some sense into him. She's like, we'll work this out. You guys just need to talk. And Luffy's like, nope, it's done. And I really don't like that attitude either, because he is very pig-headed, and a lot of times he's pig-headed and stupid. Because when he first made the decision to not get rid of the going merry, everybody had to go and kind of fall in line because he's the captain, even though that was really not the right decision and could have cost them all their lives. It was the irresponsible decision. And now he's making this decision, but instead of really just trying to, come to terms with it and to help his crewmate who's having trouble getting over it, they let the anger get the best of him, And I know Usopp had a part in it too, so don't get me wrong. There's blame to be placed on both sides. But anyway, nonetheless, Nami's trying to talk some sense. He doesn't want to hear nothing of it. He's like, you know what? If there was anything that could be solved by talking, we would have done that. It is what it is. We're fighting at 10 o'clock tonight. And you see this little flashback of Usopp saying, at 10 o'clock tonight, I'm going to be back and I'm going to fight you for the going merry, So then you go and you see, and this is causing dissension amongst the ranks in the entire crew. Robin is missing. You've got Sanji and Zoro going at it, arguing, and Sanji's saying, "Why didn't you just take care of those guys when they attacked you on the ship? Then they wouldn't have been around to be able to get to Usopp, and this wouldn't have happened." And Zoro's like, "Screw you! Why did you even leave the ship? You could have been here to help me kick their ass, but I wouldn't have no backup because you were out shopping." And it's fighting back and forth, and he's, and then of course Sanji's like, "Yeah, but I had to go and get food and provisions," Chopper is upset. He came back. I guess he says that Usopp's staying at an inn in town, and he went to go, follow him to bandage up his wounds and what have you. And Usopp said, "You know what? We're no longer crewmates. Go back to the ship." And Chopper's tearing up. I'm reading the thing. I'm tearing up. I mean, it's just gut-wrenching thinking about it, because this is the real deal. I didn't take the fight a couple hundred chapters back with Zoro and Luffy very seriously, because I knew that Luffy had just kind of woken up from like a food coma and was out of it, and he thought one thing, and then I knew that he'd come to the realization that it was another. I don't know how easily or how quickly this will be fixed with Usopp, and it pisses me off too, because if he does wind up leaving the frickin' crew, and I didn't know it, no one tells me, I just bought a damn Portrait of Pirates figure for him, so which you'll see in the next day or two. I'll have the video up for that. So nonetheless, though, like I said, very, very emotional stuff. But the next half, or the last half of the chapter, is all about the fight between Usopp and Luffy. And it's a good one, man. It really is good. And you'd think it'd be one-sided because Luffy's just so powerful and strong and everything. Not really, because Luffy isn't too bright. Luffy's very much a, straightforward come at you. So they go and square off, man, and I'm just, it's just great. It reminds you of, an old, a Wild West type movie, an old John Wayne movie, and you just want to see, the, what do you call it, the tumbleweed go and roll by, So as they're about to get into it over here, Usopp starts out and he winds up going and actually going, you know, they're talking a little smack back and forth, and then he goes and falls to his knees and does one of his ketchup stars on his mouth like he's coughing blood, you know. And so Luffy comes over and, you know, basically goes to show pity on him. Obviously he's weakened, he's beaten and everything else and whatnot, and he goes and winds up nailing Luffy. He hits him with a flash dial. He winds up hitting him. Then after that, he hits him with an egg star, so it messes with his senses, his smell, and everything like that. Then he goes and he hits him with. He's got caltrops already everywhere, so Luffy's, you know, falling and bouncing around on things. His feet are getting all messed up. He starts throwing shurikens at him, knowing obviously Luffy's weakness. I mean, he planned and plotted this all out. This is how he fights. This is his mental warfare, you know, and it's good. It's good mental warfare. Let me tell you. So he winds up going in. I mean, Luffy's getting, it's one-sided. I mean, Usopp is controlling the fight. He is kicking Luffy's ass. And then he goes and he winds up, and I thought this was great. After all this stuff happens, he goes and he's, what's that smell, you know? And it's, oh, you smell that gas? And what he did is he wound up putting a bunch of gas out there, right? You know, getting gas out towards Luffy. I don't know if he used it from a dial or what and released it. But I'm assuming that's what he did. And Luffy, but he screwed with his senses because Luffy couldn't smell because the rotten egg from the egg star, right? So you think that, you know, Usopp's screwing around. Usopp ain't playing no games here, man. Usopp's playing for keeps. And while this is all going on, I mean, the crew is sitting on the ship because Luffy said, do not come off the ship, you know, and they're listening. But I mean, you know, they're not, I don't think anybody's happy about this. It just feels like a family fighting and falling apart. And trust me, coming from a family like I do, a big family, oldest of 6 kids, most of my brothers and sisters at this point in my life don't even speak to me. Don't even come and see their nephews. And trust me, there's blame to be had on both sides for that. So I'm not saying that it's like I'm this saint and they're these evil demons. But you know, it's tough to go in to see this close-knit family like as we were, for instance, now kind of having drifted apart because of some situations that are just terrible. And this is a terrible situation. And what I thought was really, and I picked this up at the end too, in one of the last panels, right after Usopp goes and then fires one of his fire stars, and there's just a huge explosion, just, you know, and then you see Luffy and he's battered and beaten, he's laying down. Usopp has clearly kicked his ass, you know. When he does this, you wind up seeing the end of it, and at the end of it, there's an actual picture, a panel over on here, I guess you would say, a panel that I thought was great. It's the last panel of the chapter. It's the Going Merry, and it looks like it's actually crying. Now, you know, now as far as I know, there's no living, breathing stuff in here, but I don't know. I mean, Oda creates some really neat stuff, though, too, and some really different stuff, I guess I should say, because, you know, we all remember the devil fruit that was given to the actual, the gun that then turned into a gun dog or what have you. I remember that Mr. Four's gun. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this whole thing, man. I'm trying to remain as centered as I possibly can because, see, with antagonists, with people that attack the Straw Hats, it's easy for me to go and hate on them and say I don't like them. They irritate me. They piss me off. It's easy for me to degrade their way of things, even if it's the same shit that the pirates do. I don't care because I care about the main characters. I care about the Straw Hats, right? Some more than others. But this is a situation where, man, you know, I can see both sides of it. I think Luffy's being kind of stubborn with things, but I think Usopp is too. And I just, man, it looks like it's going to be a big rift that I don't know if it's ever gonna be repaired. I don't know if if Usopp's actually going to leave, if he's going to leave just for a short period of time and then come to his sense. I don't know what the hell is going to happen, man. I tell you. And the one time I'm at a loss for words, you know. There's never any gaps where spaces in my videos, and I don't cut them together or edit them, you know, in any special way like some people do. But usually I fill the blank, you know, the air with you know, with noise, and it's tough to do that right now. That's how the chapter ends off, and I'm sure that it's going to continue into the next chapter, or at least I feel like that. I don't feel like Luffy would be beaten that easily, but it was. I gotta say, the positive I can take out of this chapter was Usopp and the way that he came at Luffy. He's seen him in all these battles. He's seen him take down all these titans, you know, these just titanic, huge enemies with all these great powers. So he knows what his weaknesses are. He knows what his strengths are and his weaknesses. And Usopp's doing exactly what he should have been doing to begin with, is focusing on the strengths that he has and not his weaknesses, because he's able to focus on Luffy's weaknesses and be able to nullify his strengths by doing that. So it's a neat juxtaposition there if you think about it. But my chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is what are your thoughts on not just the fight between Luffy and Usopp? Many of you have already seen this, been through it, you know what's going to happen. I don't want to know. But what are your thoughts on the fight between Usopp and Luffy, and what are your thoughts on the warfare that Usopp came prepared to fight, man? I mean, I thought that was the most impressive thing. Let me know what your thoughts are, though, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation. Check me out there on my other channel, as well as Facebook and Twitter, and even the Instagram.